Yo guys, what's up? It's me, Fang Banger. In this video, I'm going to be bringing you another Black Ops 2 kill confirmed, maybe on slums and hijacked. It depends on how long I talk. And guess what? It is going to be Black Ops 2 Ghost Stories. I had a really big turnout for the last Ghost Stories video. A lot of people liked it and a lot of people wanted to hear more. So I decided that I would bring it back this Friday, and we're going to go through and playing kill confirmed using the same loadout. I believe I show it to you at the beginning of the video, and I pretty much just go ham. It kind of starts off a little bit slow, but just wait till the end. I get pretty insane on these kids. Anyway, let's get started on the ghost story though, because the video is not going to be, or at least my gameplay is not as long as maybe I have to talk. I might shorten a few things up just to put it in there, but let's take this back to, I believe I was the age of 8 or 9 years old, and my mom had found a house. We lived in Miami, Oklahoma at the time. It's a town that had like 10,000 people when I was there. And she was, like I said in one of my vlogs, she loved to move around. She always, like, the house was never good enough or something was always wrong with it where she wanted to move. So this was a time when we were moving, and she wanted to move out to Fairland, Oklahoma, which was only like 10 miles from Miami, if that. They're right by each other, but it is like out in the middle of nowhere. Like you won't have houses near you for miles. It's very country, not to mention that there's only like probably 2,000 people in that town, if that. So she wanted to move out to Fairland, Oklahoma, and she found this house out there, and it wasn't far from other houses. I mean, it was far from most other houses. It was on this windy, curvy road, and it was this huge house. Like, it was a 2-story, I think it was 4 or 5 bedrooms. The top story of it was like all one long room. I don't know if you've seen a house like that, but the bottom story was a bunch of bedrooms, and then the top story was just a long, like, it took up the whole house, and it was one long room. And it was next to another house that was like kind of across the street, but besides that house, there was nobody for miles. And next to it, there was a lake. It was literally right off a lake. You could walk into the lake from your yard. There was a big barn, so you could have had animals. There was a back house that was a 2-bedroom, pretty much full house. For a back house, had a kitchen, had bathrooms, had everything. So this was a huge house, and it was going for a really good price. It needed to be fixed up. It was kind of older. The couple that had it before was an older couple and lived there like their whole lives. And it was in a wooded area right in the backyard. It was just straight woods everywhere. So it was kind of freaky in the first place. If you look at the front of it, at some point I might try to find a picture. I probably won't have it in this video. It was like the Amityville Horror, where the windows, you had the 2 big windows at the very top that opened up and looked on the lake. So like from the moment I saw it, just going into it when we were looking at it, I was like, Mom, I don't really like this house. There's something about it. It just turns me off. I remember looking into the wooded area and being like, it's just creepy. There's something creepy about this house that I don't feel right about. And so at that time, whenever she was making the process of moving in, she bought it, and she was moving my family in. My brother was going to live in the back house with my cousin. It was going to be me, my stepdad, her, and my sister, with all these rooms and stuff, and, a huge house. So she got a good deal, whatever. We moved in, but I wasn't down for staying there. There was something about it that really creeped me out. I wasn't down for staying there, so I always stayed at my Aunt Cindy's. And so finally my mom's like talking to me, and she's like, Jesse, you've got to come out here. So like the first days we're moving in or whatnot, I'm helping her move in. Something happens to me. I'm walking, I'm moving something in, and just like out of nowhere, some kind of like stake that was in the ground that had it kind of bent to the right, stabbed me directly in the leg. And so I like had this puncture wound in my leg from there, and I fell to the ground. It was terrible. Bloody mess, had to get it fixed. And so I was like, this is not a good start to this house. Not to mention, 2 days later, I was out by the lake, and I was walking around, and happened to just like, this could just be, luck, but I happened to just somehow lose my balance, which I was very good with balance at that age. I was an athlete. I don't know how it happened, but lose my balance and just completely sprain my ankle. And so these 2 occurrences were already showing me that I did not like the house that I was living in. Maybe a week after that, I come to stay there. I bring my friend Sasha. I would not stay there by myself. My room was the whole upper floor. I had that all, and the beds were built into the walls, like they came out of the wall. It was really fucking creepy. Anyway, so we're walking in the house, and out of nowhere, my mom trips. She has my sister. She's only like 7 months old. My mom somehow trips and drops my sister and her. Like, they fall to the ground. Somehow my sister was not injured, thank God, but it was just like a freak moment. And so I started noticing these like sequences of things happening in this house, and I stayed there 3 times the entire time she lived there. The first time I remember waking up in the middle of the night and my friend Sasha was wide awake and she was like, Jesse, do you feel like someone's watching you right now? And I'm like, yeah. No, that's like my exact feeling. It was like someone was hovering over the bed watching me, and it was the creepiest feeling ever, to the point of where like I just didn't want to stay there. And my mom talked me into doing it maybe like a second or third time. And I remember waking up again. Sasha stayed with me every time. And I remember waking up again and we kept hearing like small voices, and you could barely, it was so faint that you could barely hear it. And I'm like, what the hell is that, Sasha? And she's like, I don't know, like I hear it too. We were freaking out. We told my mom, you know, my mom and my stepdad thought we were crazy. And I was like, I'm never staying in this house again. I'm telling you right now, I will never stay in this house again. It scared me so badly that I was not going to stay in that house. And so I left. I went to live with my Aunt Cindy. I was not having it anymore. It was just something about it that totally made me feel very uncomfortable. And so my mom and my stepdad continued to live there, and my sister, my brother, and they were getting in all these fights. Something was happening where they kept fighting with each other. And this is, I'm dead honest on everything I'm saying in here. They started getting into these huge fights. My stepdad and my mom had a great marriage at the time. They just had my sister not that long ago. They were happy, but for some reason out of nowhere, they started fighting terribly. Even with my brother, they started with him. Something happened where like out of nowhere, our little chihuahua broke its leg, and it became this terror of where they like blamed it on my brother, and they said that he wasn't watching her. And so my brother got kicked out and couldn't live there anymore either. So he went away. He went to live with like one of my cousins or something like that. And slowly but surely, things started like fading away from that house. Nobody wanted to be there. My stepdad got to the point where he was fighting with my mom so much that he didn't like the house either. He was completely creeped out by the house, that he was like, I'm just going to go stay with my mom. And they kind of separated. And so it ended up being to where it was just my mom there. And this went on for like 3 months. And my mom says that when she was there, she just felt like she needed to be there. She couldn't sell the house. She couldn't leave the house. A lot of times my sister wouldn't even be there with her. My stepdad took her, and it was just her alone in the house. And a lot of times she said she felt like she would hear people running, like she heard people running in the upstairs and stuff. And she would hear like little kids' laughs and stuff like that. And my mom's a strong-willed woman, so she's not going to get scared out of her house. She's not going to leave unless there's like a real reason why she needs to leave. So she just tried to like blow it off, and she tried to live there. But she started noticing like that things about her were changing. She was feeling different. She, for some reason, didn't mind being there alone. She like completely didn't even really talk to us for a while. And at one point, my brother went over there with my cousin Nick, and they were like, you've got to get out of this house. Like, there's something going on here. There's obviously you can see everybody's left you in this house. You need to get out. And so my mom was like, yeah, she finally makes the choice. She's going to get out. She's been through all this stuff with it, and so she's going to move. And I remember on the moving day, Nick, my cousin, and my brother went throughout the woods. They went up the lake. You could go through like the one side of the lake into the woods, and they called everybody over, and they're like, no, you need to come see this or whatever. And at this point, we're walking over there. My mom's still there, and my mom's trying to get her stuff out, and there's like this shed in the back, and literally it's not windy at all outside. Completely fine still. She's in the shed. Out of nowhere, the shed door just slams shut on her. It's like, I don't know how to explain what's happening on this, but like it's like whatever was there didn't want her to leave, and it was the creepiest thing ever. We saw it, everybody saw it. It was just really creepy. She gets out of the door, but my cousin Nick anyway is coming. He's calling us over, and he's like, "Come look at this." And so we go out to the woods, and there is literally like a little graveyard back into the woods. I don't know if it's an Indian graveyard or like maybe just normal, whatever it was. It's a little graveyard. In most of the graves in there had to be like 8 or 9. Most of the graves in there were young children that like died, and it doesn't say what they died of, so I have no idea. You could only imagine maybe like disease or something happened, because back in the day it was a lot different. But it was the creepiest moment, and that's like the moment my mom like stopped, and she knew, like, it was almost like in this house, and I'm shortening this a lot. There's a lot I could have gone more into detail with, but I just got to fit it into a video. In this house, it was like there was children there, and they wanted my mom to be there, and they didn't want anyone else. They wanted, like, that was their mom, and they wanted her to stay, and they drove everybody else out of the house, and it was just her in there. And so you imagine whenever that door slammed shut, like, they know she's leaving, and they don't want her to leave. And we didn't get any like history on like who lived there besides the people before, but the neighbors happened to tell us on our moving out day, yeah, the older couple that lived there before, like lived there their whole life, and they both died in the house together, which is creepy. Not together, like obviously different times, but they both died in the house, which is creepy in the first place. You know, you don't want to move into houses like that in the first place. But then the graveyard or whatever that we found, they didn't even know about that. So they were even more like not amused by that, living next door to this house. And it was just like one of those moments where like you see it on TV and you don't ever believe it. But I've been through that. And I really think that there was like some kind of like children spirits there. And they wanted my mom to themselves. They didn't want us there. And so they did everything they could to drive us out of the house. And then they, you know, finally got what they wanted. They got her. And thankfully we were able to get her out of the house. Things got better from there. Like once we moved in our new house, things got a little bit better, but it never was exactly the same. And I really feel like a lot of things that happened to my mom at that time in her life were because of what happened there. So that's probably like one of the creepier, that's like life-changing creepy moments that's happened for me. Anyway, that's my ghost story for today, guys. If y'all have any that y'all want to leave down below, I liked hearing them last time. Y'all typed them out. Obviously, I can't hear you, but I like seeing them. And if you don't believe in this, I totally understand. It's up to you whether you do or not, but I do. And I do believe in God and everything else. Everybody's asking, well, if you believe in ghosts, do you believe in God? Yes, I do. But this stuff's happened to me. So I've got other ones of my own, and I've got friends' stories that I could tell y'all. If y'all continue to want to hear these, let me know. If not, I'll stop doing them. Anyway, until next time, get Fang Bang, nerds.